Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. So this is definitely a different type of video series compared to what Victor and I have done in the past. I've got a few of the core team here from our Petuum Optimum product, which is essentially our asset and process optimization service. And today we're going to be talking about mostly for cement applications, but this is definitely a framework that works across multiple industries. So you guys know me, I'm Christina, our market development manager. Chris, why don't you go ahead and let's do a quick round of introductions.
Hi everyone, this is Chris. I'm a software engineer at the QA team. I mainly focus on the quality assurance for all our product that use the CMS Optimum.
Yes, Roberto Linares. I am AI Solutions Principal at Petuum, and I have worked doing implementations of Petuum Optimum.
Awesome. And Unity.
Hi, everyone. This is Unity Kingi. I'm heading the Optimum product management team here at Petuum.
Fabulous. And so we've got a couple of you core folks who helped create the product. Clearly, we've got a lot more folks who helped contribute to that. And Roberto, I want to spend just a second more on your background because I think it's a little bit unique compared to what you would expect from a technology company. So you've actually worked in the field on cement lines across all different types of industries. Why don't you share a little bit more detail about your background?
Okay, well, my background has been always in technology applied to industry, specifically in cement. I work in different processes, and engineering side, operation side, so optimization. And also I had the chance to do modeling and optimization with software. So this was a very, interesting technology for me because this is the next jump that we are going to be doing. We started with conservation principles type of models. Now we're doing AI.
Whenever you went about actually launching the Petuum Optimum product, was it helpful for you to have someone on the team who actually understood the ins and outs of the cement industry and processes?
Domain knowledge is very important. It's very.
I thought you said you were the cement expert now.
Oh, and learn from our expert, right?
Okay, true.
But how would I know? So that's my lesson was we need that human touch in our AI models because as a data scientist, when I see data, I see them as numbers. So that sometimes we might see, okay, so that's if we want to increase the temperature, we just pump up this sensor. There we go. But then our expert would tell us that no, the factory don't work like that. You turn down that knob, it takes half an hour for the temperature to actually rise. Right. So those are things that like we engineers probably did not know, but through trial and error, lots of quick fails, we learned that, and now we're able to adapt to a customer's unique settings and the fiscal limits, and we know how to deal with it.
So this is an AI product, but at the same time, AI can be applicable only if you understand the domain behind it. And having somebody who has invested there or experience with that domain, with the cement and the assets, was very critical for us to make sure that we have a product that is solving the right problems.
But I want to share a little bit more about how we got to the point we are now, right? Like what was the journey to develop the product from our side and also with the customer? And so why don't we talk a little bit about whenever we first engaged with the customer, what were their grand plans? What was their idea for what this product would actually be able to do for them?
Yeah, maybe I can start. So I think we have customers that come to us with different visions. One is where the customer come with a vision that they want to fully automate their assets or processes, and not exactly knowing how that how would be a step-by-step approach in getting there, but they have vision of having autonomous assets or processes. There are some customers who come to us with we first want to be able to understand whether is AI actually applicable in our use cases, and as well as making sure that they are better than their current systems. So I think what we do is obviously cater to both of those mindsets, and also help our customers go through the journey of understanding how we can optimize their assets on a real-time basis, whether it is going completely to the autonomous side or helping build them confidence by showing them how our product can first predict, prescribe in an accurate manner, and then help them take through the journey of going completely autonomous with Optimum.
Right. And Roberto, I know that you were on like the ground floor whenever we were kind of fleshing out from the get-go what this would look like and how it would serve our customer. Did you have an idea, like beyond just asset and process optimization, but specifically for cement, how it would be applied or how it compared to what these folks already had in place?
Well, I think the customer had an idea already that they wanted to optimize further because they already had some infrastructure, some good infrastructure as process data historians, controls, controllers. All of that instrumentation is already in place. But what they didn't have was a good technology that will be able to predict accurately and also predict accurately in the right time frame, like 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now. Knew that they wanted to extract more energy to reduce cost. They wanted to produce more cement. So all of that was there, but the technology to make it happen was not there. So basically, we with Petuum Optimum, we are taking them from a system that is already optimum for the technology they have to make a jump and to be able to operate as the best operator can do, but continuously. So that is the big difference I saw when I saw the Petuum Optimum operating the cooler the first time. I was so impressed on how accurately we were doing the predictions, the fine adjustments, and even in some cases, we, besides the increase of recovery of heat, we see a smoother operation, right? Because the operator has to do a dramatic change, so let's say of speed, but the computer, right, with AI, right, our Petuum Optimum product can do the fine tuning let's say every 5 minutes to, let's say, 10 set points, and that cannot be done by a human being. So
Yeah.
that's what I saw.
I like the story whenever we actually went into supervised steer for the first time. I know there's a lot of victories and celebrations on our side, but the customer was also extremely impressed. And I think, didn't they say to you, Roberto, that we were making history?
Yes, in fact, when I saw it working the first time, that night I called my family and I told them I think we are making history. And I told the customer what I did that night, and the customer said, I did the same thing. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's the way we felt about it. Yeah, it was so exciting, and it's still very exciting.
Adrenal rush, right?
Yeah.
Actually, we got an award
Right.
late last year. It was the Cement Project of the Year award from the SemTech conference. So apparently, the industry thought it was pretty monumental as well.
Yeah, yeah. And just to add to that, I think, Christina, if even if our customers don't understand how we would approach the AI problem, we try to break it down to them in a concise fashion and help them walk through the framework to say for each use case, how do we define the objectives, which breaks them down and helps them understand that we approach this problem, whether do you want to maximize this, stabilize this objective, or do you want to minimize this objective? And so we'll help them walk through how we would tackle the objectives, the controls or the prescriptions or the constraints, help them then understand how this will eventually turn out to be a ML output.
Right. It's almost like I'd say like a crawl, walk, run model, right? Where we're working with them, not to get to supervise steer and autonomous operations overnight. And Unity, you had mentioned earlier the predict, prescribe, and supervise steer modes. Why don't you continue in explaining a little bit more about why we break that into the different phases and a little bit about what's included in each step?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the product Optimum has 3 modes of operation: predict, prescribe, and supervise steer. Now, each mode of operation is very critical in customer's journey, as well as even product's journey. So the first thing is prediction. right? If you're trying to optimize assets, yield, energy, or throughput, essentially the first thing you need to know is, are you able to predict that in the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, how that asset is actually going to perform? Customer, starts gaining confidence in our prediction accuracy, then they are able to, right away start seeing a value that the AI is helping them understand few minutes in advance how the asset is going to perform. So that's the first step in building confidence. The second step is prescriptions, right, where we are actually providing them real-time recommendation on what are the set points that the operator have, so that which takes the asset into the most optimal zone. And for that, again, predictions are the baseline for that, and prescriptions help them understand um, basically where their optimal set point is going to be. That is the next step, which we help customers, compare with their baseline and say, yep, our prescriptions are in fact in the order of magnitude that they have to be, in fact, are pushing the boundaries than what a typical operator would do. And they get an appreciation of even the value potential with prescriptions. So that's the next step. And the final step is then obviously, let's take your prescriptions back to the control system to ensure that we're closed looping on that and start realizing the value. Because these predictions and prescriptions for a real-time asset optimization are only valuable when you start actually using them so that you can see the value. And so the supervised tier is, again, a journey where we help the customers do shorter sprints of these and then expand those to more and for longer hours, where then for 2, 4, 8, and then 24 hours, the customers can run the supervised tier mode, which is essentially the autonomous operation.
Right. And you mentioned a few times too, on each one of those times that we are taking these additional steps, you're building confidence, you're building trust. And Roberto, I know that you worked really closely as well with the operators and making sure that they understood what the technology was doing. And so by the time that we got to the end with supervised steer, it was easy for them to feel confident turning it on and letting it run for long periods. And like the name suggests, in true like supervised steer mode.
That is correct. We cannot just go from 0 to 100% in one shot. The idea first is to explain to the operators how is the technology working, because they are also intrigued. And it is basically the answer is like all of the actions that you have taken, we are looking into the data. AI is learning from those actions. And what we want to do is to get the best action that will provide the optimum, right? Or let's say the maximization objective, or if there are three objectives, find a compromise between the three of them based on the weight factors. So they like that. So that is just something that comes from them in some way, something that is going to help them out once is running, right? So they participate, and also subject matter experts. They also provide their feedback to see if the predictions are accurate, if they feel that we can go to the next phase. Once we know that we have a good handle on prediction, the next step is basically the optimization, which is essentially the mathematics on top of that dynamic system, very robust dynamic prediction. So now we know that we could do some changes, right, to the state variables, so that we will impact positively, right, and follow the objectives of the customer. So
why don't we talk about some of the differences or the advantages of using an AI-based system compared to some conventional type control?
Well, I will say that something that we have seen is that these systems are basically more robust. So we can take more information, and this means that we, for example, if we have information for fans, we can concentrate in all of the variables that are important for that model. We don't need to say, oh, okay, we can just handle 10 by 10, 4 by 4. inputs and outputs. No, here we are not limited, and that's really powerful. Okay. Then the other thing is this: if we create a model and the model is performing well, it could be that the vision is changing. The customer says now we want to add more variables. Yes, we can add that. So that's very powerful as well. In terms of I would say the predictions, these systems work more in a way that we know what is going to happen. We don't need to be reacting to. We are not like, oh, this happened, then we need to take an action. We already know what is the next action will be,
Yeah.
so we can be more active, right? More than reactive. So that's powerful as well. And also the other thing is this, that we uh, we can capture through the data a lot of decisions that have been made by the operators that is impossible to capture in a rule-based system, right? It's just not
I
possible.
think
Uh,
the biggest advantage in my mind is stability of the system. When you have an operator actually trying to stabilize, keeping multiple variables in mind, having AI actually consider those and keep the system stable is much more easier. The next thing is, apart from stability, safety. It comes to my mind. Uh, we have thresholds where the AI would keep the system within the safe boundaries because it has been uh, you know trained to do that. The next obviously is the I would say the data that the models are built on is going to keep increasing over a period of time, right? So the corner cases that the model is learning is going to expand over and over as the data collection is going to increase. So the amount of different scenarios that AI can handle will definitely be much more robust than what a rule-based system can do. It would obviously not be at the get-go, but as this system is going to run over a period of time, it is going to see all the different corner cases to be able to handle those.
But clearly, I think that there is, like us as humans, there's a layer that has to be built of trust and having confidence in the systems, and somewhat almost like a change management process in place for them to actually be able to turn on supervised steer and let Petuum Optimum send those prescriptions back in the closed loop. And so, why don't we talk a little bit about how do we work with those operators? How do we make sure that we've got a successful change management process in place?
Yeah, I think the first thing, we have to educate the customers, even at the very senior levels as well, is that AI is going to help them augment their current operators, where they have much more time to do what they are best at, but at the same time leave certain things to AI, what it is best at. So where the operators can then focus on the other aspects of the operations as well, right? So that's the major thing. And then obviously making sure that the operators feel comfortable that this can achieve the results that they would expect. So it's very important in the change management to, that's why I take this journey of, as I was talking about predictions, prescriptions, and supervised tier, for making them comfortable that actually we are taking the right decisions, even though they may not be what they would expect, or the asset is not running in a typical operator type of environment. But having that confidence built up is definitely very important.
So now we've gone about we've built Petuum Optimum. Now we've been fortunate enough to actually launch it at several different cement customers and other folks in different industries as well. How does it change Unity on the product side whenever we take this one product from one customer to the next? What changes? What stays the same?
Yeah, I think what is exciting about Petuum is that we are not building one-off solutions. We are not building solutions that are catering to only one customer for their unique need, right? We are creating a product here uh, with the aim that this is going to be repeatable and this is going to be scalable. So with that, what comes in is that we are trying to really take the entire product pipeline and make it standardized in a way that we are able to deliver quick value to the customer. And what we are doing is essentially right from data collection to ML development to actually developing dashboards which will help our customers realize or see the value of the product. We are standardizing the end-to-end product, and which is very rare to see that typically we have seen in AI space. It is very easy to create show value for one particular use case, but when you have to scale that, it is very difficult. And I think the backbone behind why we are able to do this so fast and repeatable is because of our platform, which brings in the the solid infrastructure that we have, which helps us replicate very easily.
Right. So there's always, like we talked about, like 20% or so the personalization or customization element to this. But I'd say 80% or so of the foundation is already covered by our platform, as you mentioned, as well as some of those core AI elements which apply regardless if we're doing cement or steel. Like the predictions and the optimization models that we have can apply to a number of use cases.
Yes, and something that I would like to add is that companies are seeing this in an enterprise using an enterprise approach, in which they have multiple assets. Typically, they want to start with a couple, right? But then after that, if they are successful, they don't want to go one by one because they will never end. So if you have a platform that scales and a configuration that can be scaled as well, you can implement faster and have the vision across your different sites or countries. For enterprises that are in, let's say, multinational companies that have plants everywhere.
So we spent a lot of time on the manufacturing space within cement, but what are some things that you're looking forward to? What's down the road and you're looking forward to the next steps or where Petuum wants to take it next?
So the optimum product, really, we want to, expand it to verticals where there is going to be value for optimizing the assets on a real-time basis. There are assets within steel industry, there are assets within chemical, oil and gas, which all need to be which can see value from improvement in yield or energy savings or overall operational improvement, right, on a real-time basis. And so we see this framework really applying on all of these industries. So we want to take step-by-step approach, obviously, but the aim is to be able to provide this as a solution for many markets.
Great. Anything else that you guys are looking forward to?
Well, I think that there are multiple features of Optimum. For sure, optimization, as the name implies it. But within that, there are many important features as the soft sensors or AI-based soft sensors that are very useful in certain industry. I probably in all of the ones mentioned by Unati. It's important because lab data is not as fast as, let's say, sensor data like temperature, pressure, but it's essential for product, for the quality for the product, to tune the flow rates and all of that. So we, we have very powerful technology to apply those inferentials within Optimum.
That's a great point, Roberto. I'm glad you bring that up because I can think of another feature that we are hoping to bring into the product. So even though we are saying we want to optimize the asset, on a real-time basis using time series data, but we're also exploring into seeing how we can use some of the thermal images or are using some video or image data and using that also as an input to optimize the assets. So
Mhm.
a lot of the assets collect these kinds of video and image data, which also can be incorporated to further optimize.
Correct.
Yeah, I'd say you guys are onto something there. So,
Mhm.
well, thanks again. I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time, but I'm looking forward to see what this team does next. And thanks again for coming on and being a part of the interview with us.
Thanks,
Thank
Christine.
you. Thank you, Christina. Bye bye.